Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. Remember old Smokey? So now that you remember old Smokey here, I was poking around in the basement and I ran across this matched set of cylinder bore and piston, and I bought it a while ago, and then I'll drop it on the floor and ruin it. Where's the I inventoried this in 12, so I owned it before that. And what I decided to do is I want to pull this engine off, get the top end off, and see exactly what its problem is. It might be the piston and bore, though on the other hand, it might also be the top end. And the reason why I say that is it seems if you go back to where I was kind of gunning the engine, it didn't smoke instantly, right? It seemed to have to fire a few dozen times before it started to smoke. Anyway, I am curious to what's wrong with this motor from a Smokey point of view. So let's get it taken off and torn apart and see what we find. Okay, tubers, the engine's out. No big deal to do that. 4 bolts for the front plate. I didn't have the top hooked up, and then you got the 2 big bolts, this guy and this guy. You just have to bang them out. By the way, to make that a little bit easier, if you go through the trouble of getting a piece of wood and you got your hammer, mine's on the floor right there, and you just tap those long bolts out, it's a lot easier. For the way back in, having done a few of these, I find that typically putting this bolt in first, then that one, then the front plate, and then the top works the best. Some people like to kind of hang the top and kind of swing the motor into position. I didn't find the best luck with that. As a matter of fact, in the case of this engine, the top isn't even installed. Time to take it apart. So as you're taking it apart, very easy to do. Take these 2 screws out, take that off, and this whole assembly will slip off as one. One thing to note, there's a tiny little pin that goes here. When you're putting it back together, if you don't seat this, and by the way, you can seat it 180 degrees out of where you want to be, so make sure you check your timing with the flywheel through the hole and all that, and make sure when this thing is in the firing position, that your magnet's actually going by. But anyway, see that little pin there? That little pin is a pain right in the butt. Very easy to drop inside the engine, which is a bad thing to do. You should really tear the whole thing apart and get it out of there, because it will cause trouble. Also very easy to lose. What I did is I wrapped it in tape, right, and I taped it right to here. That way I don't forget it and I don't lose it. I mean, it is tiny. We're talking really, really small. I don't even have something I could show you that's small enough to, I mean, it's just tiny. So please, occasionally they break, occasionally they're missing, and it's a reason why you'll get an engine that just doesn't run. Another trick I like to use, I call this the retriever wire. I just hook a wire to the timing chain really well. And by the way, with me fooling around with this timing chain, look what I keep hitting. Chances are I would have knocked that pin into the motor. So now you got 2 problems. A, the pin's in the motor, and B, as you're putting it back together again, you don't realize you're missing that pin. So as your cam is going around, you're timing is not, right? Your ignition timing, your pulse generator is basically sitting still. So just another one of those tricks. I'm going to take this head and cam and whole situation off at once. I already loosened the bolt, so quite honestly, it looks like it's time to just kind of tap on it with a piece of wood and bring it on up. So the top end is off, and I think I found the problem. Anyone? And as you go further down, it gets looser yet. Right? You guys can see the piston moving in that. Let me zoom. There you go. And she's got plenty of compression, but she's flip-flopping around quite a bit. Inspecting the rest of it, right? Cam looks good, no scrape marks. You know, the followers look good. You got a little bit of, they call that mushrooming, right? You can see that on the end there. But yeah, that all looks good. The head itself looks nice, right? These surfaces don't look too bad. Valves look good. There's when you run them without an air cleaner, what'll happen is the aluminum of the head actually gets eroded and the valve settles in. I don't see any of that. So I think I'm just going to I have to finish taking it apart and cleaning it up and so forth, obviously. But I think I'm just gonna slip my new piston and bore in. They're a match set, and put it on back together again. I also bought a gasket set for it. So this is the tear apart, and once again could see that it really is ripe for a set of rings. I also want to hone that other piston, that other cylinder out. I'll probably show you guys doing that also. So I think I'm going to end this bunch of videos right here. I did end up having to take the remainder of the head apart to get the because I had to pop the camshaft to get the timing chain out. But there was really no surprises. The real trick when you get it all apart is do take note of little things. Like you see there's a rubber O-ring here. The gasket didn't look like it was blown. It took quite a few taps to get it loose. Cleanliness is as close to godliness as you could get when it comes to working on an engine. So the cleaner, the better. I mean, this is kind of a ratty rebuild, right? I'm just gonna Rube Goldberg a piston and bore into it, but if when you're doing them for real, tearing them apart, washing them out, the better job you do, the longer they last. The worse job you do, the better the chance of you having to walk home or get towed home when the thing throws a rod or chucks the chain and smashes your valves up or whatever else, especially if you drop metal into it. So do a clean job, do a neat job. Also be careful. A lot of times when you have the engine on the bench, you can see I have this little block of wood underneath it. A lot of times as you're trying to take stuff apart, it's easy to flip the engine onto the floor, and then things get dented up, broken, and it's not good for your toes either. Really rough on the big toe. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for dropping by to watch and comment, subscribe. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.